here's our surprise Washington tutorial. And I am going to show you how to add sleeves to a shirt that you find that has, like this shirt here. It's got the short capped sleeve. Now, many of you ladies have been voting as to what color sleeve we're going to add to this, and I'm going to surprise you with that in just a moment. And what I have here, this is a ladies petite medium, okay? It comes complete with a skirt. As you can see the pattern, it's really pretty. It's burgundy, black, white, and gray. Very pretty. And it's a lined chiffon skirt. And, of course, it has the matching top. Okay? Now, some of us ladies, the capped sleeve isn't quite modest enough. So, as with any kind of top, like even like if you have your little girls, a lot of the t-shirts these days are capped sleeve. They're way up here, and you could still see, you know, all the stuff you don't want to see or have shown. So, you can use this project, or even better, the project that we just did where you made the long sleeve into the 3/4 sleeve. You could take those pieces, instead of making a sleevey that's interchangeable with different tops, you can just sew those into a cap sleeve and do like coordinating sleeve colors, maybe opposite colors, or you know, like a red and black, or pink and purple, or yellow and orange, something pretty, you know, you can match together with the t-shirts. But anyway, this is the same sort of concept, except we're going to be adding sleeves to this, and I'm going to show you how to do that and to have it look like it was made that way from the beginning. Okay, and so the winner is, drum roll please, drum roll, is the red. My mom voted for the red too. All right, so this was a 3-for-1 shirt at the thrift store. Monday I'm going to be going back to the thrift store that's here because they have a sale on Monday where everything of one particular color is $1. So you can find tons of really good stuff if your thrift store has different sales and specials like that, which is really nice. And on those days too, a lot of times for our Modesty's Choice project, my mom has gone on those days and gotten jeans for me for $1 a pair, which is really nice because you can find some really nice jeans sometimes. All right, here we go. To get started, I'm going to just set this off to the side for a second. But to get started, you want to take the sleeve apart at the shoulder. Okay? Now, however you do this is kind of up to you. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to cut the dicky out. And what that is that's, you know, a long time ago, it's just like the top collar part of a shirt, and then a little bib part that goes down, so that you can add the coverage here at the neck and cleavage without having to put on a whole shirt. Okay? And to do that, or to cut the dicky out, the first thing I do is, here's the collar, and I choose like how far out, you know, kind of on the shoulder you want to go. I usually go halfway between the shoulder and the neck. That's about the distance that I use. But I sort of, you know, kind of eyeball it. You're welcome to measure and mark if that's what you want to do. Okay, there's no right way. You can go longer. I wouldn't really go shorter because then it might not hook underneath the collar of your existing shirt without kind of showing or poking out. So I do that, and then I just cut straight down. Pardon me, I don't have my sewing scissors here. but these are cutting just fine. Okay, I'm going to cut straight down, and you want to cut down to, well, and how far down you need it to go is really, that's kind of subjective too, but I usually stop just at the armpit. Okay, that's about where I like to stop with mine. Okay, and now to make sure that I cut the same distance or width, I'm going to fold this over in half and line up my edge. Okay, make sure my shirt is folded in half. You can see that there. And how far over I went on the neck piece, just so that they're even, so that, you know, you don't have one that's this wide and one that's that wide. Or again, mark, measure. One of the ladies had a good idea about something that measures that you can use to mark that comes right off, and that's like use a little bar of soap, and that will mark, like get a little bar of white soap or sometimes a little hotel soaps or something like that. And use that to mark your fabric, and then when you wash it, it comes right out. Who knew? Well, now you do. That's nice. All right, so I'm just going to finish cutting the dicky out of this, and I've got my same distances on both sides, and then for whatever length you want, go ahead and cut straight across. Now with this, again, I'm just eyeballing what's straight across, and what I'll do is I would usually use my serger to finish off the edges. But on your machines, you could use an overlock stitch. You can use a zigzag stitch around the edges so that it doesn't fray. Okay? Uh-oh. Ooh. Allergies. I don't know if they're allergies, but it's Washington. They have cottonwood trees and all different kinds of evergreen trees. Whew. Make you sniffle. All right. So here is my dicky. See? And it just goes right in there, and you can wear it just like that. And now if I'm doing these for myself and I just want to, a lot of times I will just cut them out. I don't even bother finishing the edge. But the ones that I sell in my store, of course, those need to be more professional, and those I will sew. You know, I get the new shirts that are too low or whatever, or if they have a button, or if they have a really cute collar, something, and maybe like or if you have a shirt that maybe has like a hole in the sleeve, or you know, you got a nice stain on it or something, but the collar is still intact and looks really cute, why not make yourself a little dicky? Then you can layer and it still looks like you have the whole shirt on when you really don't. So that set aside. Okay. Now, once I have the dicky part cut out, now you can do all kind of things. This is what I'm going to show you in the other project. Now, the rest of it, so you could cut that off and use that to add to the bottom of a jean skirt. And then you've got the dicky, you've got the sleeves out of it, you've got the bottom part, so there's very little waste if you want to use a shirt like this in, you know, one of these types of projects. All right, so now that I have that, I'm just going to go ahead and cut this sleeve out of here. I'll probably use the bottom of this as a ruffle or something on a denim insert. You know, it's a good cotton material. It's nice and solid. So I'll probably do that with the remainder of this, since I don't have a denim skirt to add this to the bottom to match it, because I'm going to be using it in this nice, pretty chiffon outfit. So we'll take this and set this aside for later, so we don't have any waste. We can always find something to use with it, or we can make a little girl skirt out of it, put elastic in the top, and bam, you have a little elastic waisted skirt for a little girl. Okay, here are my sleeves. Now, I still haven't gotten to the seam. See, these have see the seam that goes right down the edge of that? I'm gonna, and you could do one of two things. You could either seam rip it, take the time to seam rip that out, or you can do like I'm getting ready to do here, and I am just going to cut right down the middle of that seam. And because you're adding this to another shirt, you want to cut nice straight edges. You don't want to have a bunch of zigzags or zigzags or anything like that. But you know, you do want to do. So you can either, if you want to take the time to rip the seam out of the armhole, then you can. And that's totally fine. You can do it either way. It doesn't really make any matter of difference when the sleeve is covered with a cap. Now, if you are going to be adding it to a tank top, for example, that doesn't have a cap, and you just want to add sleeves to something that's sleeveless, then you'll probably want to do the seam ripper and rip it out so that you've got that extra little piece, so that you keep the sleeve the same shape, so it doesn't change that. But when you're adding it underneath of a cap sleeve, the shape of that top shoulder part doesn't really matter. All right, so there's one. Ta-da! And now we're just going to do the next one. Okay. Now we have both of our sleeves cut out. Okay. Now we're going to leave those right side out. And then we're going to take our top. And I like to, when I do this, if your top buttons, then you want to have it buttoned up so that it has, you know, it's good shape. Otherwise, if it doesn't button or anything like that, then don't worry about it. Or if it has a zip or whatever, make sure that it's zipped or buttoned or closed or whatever fasteners it happens to have or fastened. But again, if it's just a t-shirt or something, you don't have to worry about that. All right, so here's my top. Let's see. Oops, I buttoned it crooked. You definitely want it to be buttoned the proper way and not crooked. All right, because that can make your shirt turn out, guess what? You know what I'm going to say. It can make your shirt turn out wonky. Yes, it can. All right, so here's my shirt. But now what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to turn this inside out. Okay? All right. Now, you just want to turn it inside out because you want to get an idea of what you have to work with on the inner sleeve here. Okay? All right. And then you're going to take the under seam, or the part that would go under your arm when you put the sleeve on. That's this little part right here. And you're going to take the right side out sleeve with the inside out shirt, and you're going to drop the sleeve down into the armhole. Okay? So it's in your armhole. Make sure that little cap sleeve is tucked in there nicely too. Okay? And now you have, there's the top of the sleeve and the top of the black part. You're going to put these two pieces together. Okay? And then you pin it. Uh-oh. I don't have any pins. I'm going to have to go get some. I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. All right, so what were we doing? We were matching up the underarm seams together. and pinning those. And then you're going to go up to the upper shoulder seam and you're going to pin that so that those two line up. Okay. All right, now you don't have to. Now you just line the edges up for the inner, that sleeve. Make sure they are lined up nicely. And pin it. Okay, now I'm going to go around the other side. And then you're going to do the same thing on both arms, okay? And get that pinned. Ow, don't stick yourself, it hurts. Or if you do, keep some Band-Aids around. All right. Okay, now I am all pinned in. Oh, sorry. Don't put a pin in your mouth. It is not a good habit. Remember? Oh, I'm being a bad habit rabbit all over again. All right. Okay, so now we're all pinned in. And then if you want, you can just take a peek and look on the inside of your shirt to make sure that that's how you want it. The sleeve is the right side out. See, you can see it in there. All right. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'll get the other side prepared. That way when we pull the sewing machine out, we don't have to stop in the middle of it. We could just sew our sleeves around. Now, remember, make sure the little cap sleeve is tucked in. Okay. And then you have the underarm seam, match with the underarm seam of the shirt, and then drop that sleeve through that armhole and line it up. All right. And now let's pin this armhole. All right, now we have both armholes all pinned and we're ready to start sewing. All right, so let's get the sewing machine over here. Now when I got here, I said, "Hey Mom, do you got a sewing machine?" She said, "Why, Annie, yes I do." And here it is. This is a little Janome sewing machine that she had. It's got all kind of really nice little functions and stitches and things. But for this, we're just going to use a plain straight stitch. Now, if you are just getting used to this and you're still relatively new, then what you want to do is you want to use the widest stitch that you have. It's called a basting stitch. And what that does is really nice because it holds your sleeve in place, but it's very, very easy to pull out if you make a mistake, okay? And then after you get your basting stitch in and it's held, you can go in, pull out your pins that's holding it, and then go back over it and use a zigzag stitch. And in my case, I would use my serger, but you know what I mean. If you start with a zigzag stitch and then you mess up, zigzags are hard to pull out and they take a long time. So use your straight, longest setting stitch you have. It's called a basting stitch to get your sleeves set in. Once you have that set in, then you can go back and do your zigzag or overlock stitch. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to get this set up. Now, these sleeves are big enough. If you have a sleeve arm on your sewing machine, you can use that. If you don't, you don't need it. It's just as easy to do it without. So I'm going to go ahead and set this under here, my shirt. And you want to stay on the original shirt. You want to stay within that initial seam line to sew these together. You could sew right on top of it, right behind it, but you don't want to go into the fabric more than the original seam. Okay? All right. Well, it would help if I had it turned on. Okay. And so now, if you're doing just the basting stitch, you also don't want to back stitch because you want it to be able to come out easily if you need it to. Okay? So, I'm basting. And the good thing also about a basting stitch is with it being really wide, if you pinned your, if you put your needles in so that they go this way instead of this way, then in a basting stitch, your needle will go right over top of your pin and you don't have to pull it out until you're all done. But if you're not sure, then pull that pin out before you get to it. Okay? Alrighty, and here we go. We'll finish going around both of these arms, and then I'll show you what it looks like. All right, I have both of those all sewed in. I'm just going to take my pins out, move our sewing machine out of the way. Okay, so now I've got all my pins out. Are you ready to see what it looks like? Ta-da! There it is, and we've got our sleeve, just like that, and it lines right up. See, the arm, the underarm seam lines right up. It's got your, and then if you pull this up, because I know a lot of you are wondering what it look, you can't even tell that that was added. It looks just like it was a part of the original blouse. And you now have your blouse with long sleeves. Now, let me show you. Oh, we'll put it on a hanger. Okay, so this is what it looks like on the hanger. And again, you know, some people, they don't really like that cleavage. But for those of you who like more coverage, that's where your dicky comes in that you just made from the sleeves, okay? So, I will show you that. Just pop it over like this. Now, if you don't like the turtle or the mock turtleneck look or whatever, if you just want like a crew neck or something like that, well, then you could do this with a regular crew neck shirt too, and you could just cut it off. Instead of having to wear the whole shirt, you can just make yourself a dicky. Okay? And now let's get this sitting right on this hanger. There you go. Now see that? It looks like you have on the whole top when really you just have on, you just have the sleeves and then the little neck piece. All right. So what'd you think about that? Isn't this just really cute? All right. So what I'm going to do, we're going to give this one away too. So like, share, comment, let me know what you think. And on Sunday night after church, we'll give away this outfit to the winner. Again, this is a petite medium for ladies. It is a petite size medium. I'll include the dickie, and when I get home from my vacation here in Washington, watching my beautiful niece graduate from high school and college at the same time, I will serge off the edges of the dickie and get this outfit right out to you. Okay? Lord bless you guys, and Solo Deo Gloria.